Welcome to Point to Rise, your podcast that gives you permission to dream big, take messy action, and turn your talent into profit while turning your back on perfection. My name is Susanne, high performance and mindset coach, former international ballerina, profitable entrepreneur, and founder of Point to Rise, a movement designed to empower dancers. It is my mission to use my own story as an inspiration for today's generation of dancers. And now sit back, stretch, warm up, or sip your coffee and love learning how much it matters to point at yourself first to rise to all that you are capable of. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Point to Rise podcast. My name is Susanne and I am your host today. So I know that I have talked about fear of failure quite often. However, I don't think we can talk about this enough, first of all. And second of all, I want to give you a few signs today that how is that fear of failure actually showing up in your life? And I really literally just saw this post from Kim Petrell, which I was lucky enough and honored to have been part of one of her presentations during a mastermind, fallen in love with her tenacity and her conviction. And she's all about being authentic and showing up the way she wants to be. And I want to share this with you, which are the 6 signs of how the fear of failure is actually holding you back. And when I say you, I'm including myself here because the struggle with fear of failure has been so predominant in my life that it's still something that I am not fighting against every day, but I'm choosing to overcome and use as a true strength and making it into a superpower. Okay, so the first sign that fear is actually holding you back is that I hesitate to try new things. Now, I don't know if you can relate, but boy, am I a creature of habit. I love to eat the same thing. I love to do the same thing over and over and over again. So here's what I have been doing, and I am challenging myself more and more and more to do is doing different things. Although I created a routine for myself, I challenge myself every day. Okay, how can I step out of that routine so I don't become comfortable? I challenge myself every day to I don't want to say try new things, but do one thing that is something that I haven't done yet, or I haven't done yesterday, or something that is out of the norm that I usually do. This is how we push ourselves outside of that comfort zone. This is how we're teaching our ego that regardless if we're doing something new or not, we are actually safe and we're not going to die. And that is the whole concept, right? Why fear is so predominant in our life and why it actually can hold us back from stepping into our higher self and holding us back from success is because it is here to keep us alive. But since we're not being chased by tigers and mammoths anymore, and we have enough food and shelter and warmth, and we know how to look after ourselves for the most part, these innate responses that we have in our body do not apply anymore, but they're in us. Like our DNA is literally still wired for that. So us trying new things actually gets us out of this kind of wireframe that we're in. I don't know if any of you have ever seen The Croods. We are in my house, we're huge Pixar, Disney, whatever else is out there, animated movie fans. And when you really listen to The Croods, it's like never ever not be afraid. We don't try new things. This is exactly what we've been through in our evolution, that we're putting ourselves into situations, trying new things, picking a different menu from a different restaurant, trying a new, I don't know, drink, ice cream, whatever floats your boat. Put that on the forefront of your mind when you find yourself into fear of failure and you're hiding. Start with trying new things that make you a little uncomfortable. Yeah. So that's number one. We're hesitating to try new things. Number two, settling for less than we deserve. Oh gosh, that one hit hard for me because I feel like I have been settling my entire career as a ballet dancer. And even in corporate, I had been settling for less than I deserve. Was it with roles in relationships, money, payment, opportunities? I settled for what I thought I could get, versus going after and exploring actually, what is it that I deserve? Like, what do I want? Right. And when we are afraid of failure, we don't even ask ourselves that question because that is so outside of the comfort zone, of the zone of familiarity, that it is so much safer to just settling what's right in front of us, what we think we can get, versus asking ourselves the question, hey, what do I think I'm capable of? What can I do today to raise the bar? How can I show up differently? So don't settle in any part of your life, not in a relationship. You deserve to be loved. It's not something you need to earn. It's something that's your birthright. So stop settling. And I'm talking right now straight at you, a dancer that maybe is so grateful that landed a job finally after 18 months of sobriety. But what are you sacrificing for, your $300 per week, that you can't eat or look after yourself, and yet put yourself in a very high performance kind of environment? So stop settling for what you think, what other people tell you they think you should be settling for, and go for what you deserve. Number three, insisting that you're not afraid. And I'm not only saying being in denial and trying to push it down and not openly talking about it, but even when you're confronted with, hey, I think actually that you are scared, that you're still deflecting that. That is when we insist that we're not afraid, meaning that we don't want to be, we think that when we open up and actually say that we're afraid that people are looking at us as less than, or see us as weak, or as not capable, not reliable, all of these things. I mean, imagine you're just about to go on stage or do this big presentation and somebody asks you, hey, I think you're afraid. Are you okay? Are you afraid? And you would say yes. Like how naked and how exposed would you actually feel? What would come up for you? I'm going to tell you what came up for me the first time I was asked, hey, I think you're afraid. I actually, I could hardly breathe. Like my body had a really strong reaction to that. And I immediately turned to that person and got angry for pointing out the obvious, because it triggered me so much that I wasn't capable of saying it myself. I had been insisting that I am not scared of something, that being confronted with the truth without any warning really triggered everything in me. So when you find yourself in a situation where somebody points out the obvious that you have been in denial of, and you find yourself in a very strong emotional reaction, that is your sign to go deeper, to ask the question, like, what is that actually doing to me? When we're insisting that we're not afraid, what kind of a story are telling ourselves? What is it that we believe? That fear is bad, it makes us weak? No, fear is, we all have fear. We all are afraid. I mean, we wouldn't be even growing if we wouldn't be afraid. So noodle on that. That's number 3, insisting that you aren't afraid. Oh. Number 4, falling apart under pressure. Now, that may show up differently in everybody because we all have a different level of what we actually can deal with. But what I have to say here, the falling apart under pressure is related to when we are in such a situation that puts us so far out of our comfort zone, that puts immense pressure on us, on our nervous system and our emotional state. And there will be a point where your body, where your nervous system literally wants to protect you because its job is to keep you alive no matter what. So therefore, it will protect you from yourself, meaning that if you are so scared of failure, if that's something in your subconscious that has been put in there and is driving your everyday actions, for example, you will fall apart under pressure and tiny pressures even feedback sometimes can be something that will trigger you that your entire body, your soul, your heart cannot really handle. So falling apart under pressure is, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not putting a label on it. Sometimes, all the time, it is a sign of that, okay, I've gone too far. Where in the process have I misstep? Where did I not take care of myself the right way? Where have I not asked the right questions to release what needed to be released? So I want you to think about that. When you find yourself being in a fragile state where you feel like you're, even when people look at you strangely, or you're afraid of stepping into the studio, or somebody gives you a correction and you are falling apart, you are actually scared to fail. Look at that. I'm going to give you number 5 right now. Judging other people. Let's be honest, don't we all at times? I'm going to be really raw and vulnerable here. I have probably been one of the most judgmental people out there my entire career and even in corporate. And only did I lean into what I was doing when I started my journey in self-development. The judging of other people was actually what held me back in my career as a professional dancer of really becoming my very best version of myself. And you may ask yourself, why is that? Well, let me tell you why. What we focus on expands. When I focus on other people and what they're doing wrong and how they're doing it and why they're doing it, and me thinking that I have the right to say yes or no, wrong or right to their actions, feelings, and beliefs, then where am I putting my energy? Am I putting it into myself on making me stronger, or am I looking for validation that I am good enough outside of me? Second, right? Judging people is something that we fall back to when we don't see our own strength, when we are afraid of past patterns, past behaviors, past things that we experienced. And we just put that energy over to somebody else so we don't have to experience the pain in the first place, to look at where we're at and what we're doing. I have to say that letting go of judging other people, not only a journey, but it was something that was really, 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 really hard for me, because I deflected all of my fear of holding that mirror up in front of me onto other people. I'd rather told everybody else what they did wrong than going inside and taking responsibility for myself. So when you are finding yourself talking a lot or even a little about other people, ask yourself, why are you doing that? Where are you putting your energy? Is this going to serve you? Is this going to make you a better person? Or are you doing it so you don't have to deal with your own stuff? Last but not least, but mostly something that I think most of us can relate to, number 6, it's making excuses. Now, an excuse can look from I don't have time to basically making up a situation so you don't have to get out of your comfort zone. Let me give you an example. When you, let's say, commit to showing up on a podcast, or you say you're going to go to that class, or you say you're going to do that Instagram live with somebody else, and about 10 minutes later, you regret that decision for whatever reason, because your ego is coming in and saying, but what if you say something wrong? But what if you don't have enough time? But what if you're tired? Then you retrieve and you will make excuses. So you won't put yourself into that situation. It was a huge journey for me, and I still am on that journey, not to make excuses, to not negotiate with myself, that if I feel that I may be regretting a decision later on, something that I said yes to in the beginning because I wanted to serve somebody or help somebody, and I know that I won't be showing up in a way that is actually serving them later on, I can't say yes. So when we're making excuses, even let's say, okay, you can't get up in the morning, okay, and you know that getting out of bed versus hitting your alarm 10 times is a better start to your day. However, you're choosing to hit that snooze button 10 times. You will find yourself making excuses to justify your behavior. So when you're manipulating, when you are sabotaging yourself from success that way, you are also showing that you are fearful of future success or future blessings or whatever there is in the future. It is fear creeping in, holding you back, tying you down, and not letting you rise to what you're capable of and what you perhaps also committed to. I have been definitely hands down one of the best excuse making queens that ever walked the planet. I will openly admit that. Even if it was in the studio, I made excuses why I couldn't put my pointe shoes on, or why I couldn't perform the way I wanted to, or oh gosh, why I was late, for example. That's, we make excuses for that. So when you're making excuses, even when it is something simple as showing up 5 minutes late, and you find yourself saying, oh, my bus was late, and we're blaming something else outside of us, we're making excuses for our behaviors and for our actions. And when we're doing that, we're not only afraid of failure per se of success, but we're also afraid of failing somebody else. We're afraid of failing ourselves and who we are and what we are. So I really truly hope that you found this helpful. It would mean the world to me if you could share this episode with somebody who needs to hear this. If you have somebody standing beside you or a friend you can think of that may be struggling with one of these 6 symptoms of the fear that we keeping and holding on to and fighting for every day to keep us safe, so we don't have to experience what it could potentially mean to be even becoming better. Share this episode, share it with them, download it, keep it. It would mean the world to me if you could leave a review, tell me what you think, tag me on Instagram with your biggest takeaway. It would mean the world to me. I am sending you so much love. No more excuses. And I will talk to you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. If this message resonates with you, please pass it on to someone who needs to hear this right now. And if you like what you've heard, your feedback will go a very long way. If you just take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, that would mean the world to me. Till next time, point at yourself to rise to all that you are capable of.